One. Wait, come on. There it is. Everybody, welcome to the Morning Crow. Ah, ah. I got William Safi in the room. Uh, so,
Now, wait, before you get started, I gotta tell you, when you're counting down, and nothing, if like Safi knows this, when you're counting down just now to the live broadcast, and you're doing the 3, 2, 1 in the voice that you're doing it sounded like a hypnotist. I seriously, my eyes got heavy. You're like 3, 2, and I'm like,
maybe I
no,
should
no, don't
change
say it like that.
to change my profession.
It was working, dude. All right,
You
sorry,
are
go
now
ahead.
sleeping. You shall
Just because
listen to the broadcast.
I'm gonna hear my face hit my keyboard in a second, so don't do that. All right, sorry, continue.
It's all right. Well, I'm looking for a. Okay, the only news story I was looking for something on Greece because something major was supposed to be happening today. There's supposed to be a deal struck, or they might go default. But I guess this story comes out of FT.com. Let me put a link in the side chat, and then I will screen share. And there's that. And let me get a screen share going
So
for the zero
you're,
viewers that we have right now.
yeah, I mean, but I was about to comment on that. I'm like, because like first thing in the morning, that's what everybody wants us to be slapped in the face with the craziest news they can imagine. Like, wake up, bitch! Oh, sorry. There was no reason to slap you with that news story, but you know, it's just what we do.
It's what we do. We'll go somewhere lighter, leave you off nice. Um, yeah, so what we
So,
got here? Washington fears losing Greece to Moscow. Uh,
wait a minute. What does that
we've
mean?
talked
Losing
about this before.
Greece to Moscow? Did we have Greece?
Well, the
Washington
EU,
fears.
the EU has Greece. I guess the West is,
Uh huh.
just the part of the West.
Well,
Um, is it coming up on the?
I
Okay.
don't see that why that would be an issue since everyone is having to support Greece right now, right? Like the EU, Germany, and all that, they're having to support Greece. So is that really a bad thing if Russia gets a hold of Greece? They have to support them. That's just more of an. What are they going to do? You know, I mean, like, if they can do a better job and do better for the Greek people, fine. Um,
Well, I mean, we discussed this like last week. There, the BRICS nation is forming, right?
yeah.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Perhaps they make a deal with Greece. Hey, come join us. We have a new currency. I, I don't know. Try to give them a fresh start somehow.
You know what? If it's actual like a real currency, I think that's a great thing. And if it brings the banking cartels that currently control things crashing to the ground, I'm even more in support of it. I know what that means, and I know that sounds bad because I mean, I'm an American,
Yeah, you're
but
supposed to be American. You're supposed to be supporting us, man. What are you doing, you traitor? You
yeah,
commie.
exactly. And I would if we were actually acting like Americans, like our founders, like wanted us to be, but we're bringing a lot of this shit on the world and on ourselves, and so I mean it's only a matter of time before there's a reckoning.
Yeah,
And there's your morning slap in the face,
the morning slap in the face. Yeah,
or in the flank. You could be slapped in the flank,
in the flank.
right in your meaty flanks with some hard news. It's all really opinion, though, isn't it? Because, like, I mean, isn't it all kind of a show? Really, like, what's going on? Is this really happened, or is this just more drama to distract us from actual shit going on? Because if there's no money, if there's no real money, then how can Greece be bankrupt? How? I mean, how can? It's just all monopoly money, right? So
Yeah,
they could just technically give more monopoly money to Greece, and it would be no big deal. So is this really happening, or is this just kind of, part of the performance?
I don't know. I I don't know.
I guess I'm thinking that way because of the stupid Charleston shooting stuff and all these other things. It's like, well, how do you know what's true anymore? I know when I'm getting from the mainstream news is all bullshit. I know that. I know that there might be snips and snaps of truth here and there, but the rest of it is just engineered to, to get a desired result. I get that. But, I mean, where else do you go to find out the truth of the matter?
Well, what would be the motive here as far as Greece? I mean, what kind of distraction would you think this is trying to be? Because I don't know. I have a tend to think Greece is in trouble.
Okay. They're in trouble because of what? Because of their economy, right?
Their economy.
Okay.
Their
do they
can't pay
produce?
their bills. They can't pay the bills.
Right.
I think they're mostly a tourist. I think they rely heavily on tourism.
Okay. All right. So then they can't
Not
pay
really
their
sure
bills.
what makes up most economy.
Pay their bills for like food and other imports. Right. And but we're part
Right.
of, they're part of the EU. So
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't we, in order to keep it strong, we'll bail them out like it's been done in the past. Somebody else will take responsibility and try and turn them around. And it's and if nothing changes in their infrastructure, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same burden on everyone else. And I'm not saying they need to be ousted or whatever, but like instead of just throwing money to them, I mean maybe they need some like guidance in how to like generate money and to, I don't know, use their resources or something, because if they continue to be a weight, even though this whole economy thing is bullshit, and I mean, you know, I can't imagine that this is not going to be used to maintain more power over their government. I mean, which really, once it goes, like you said, default, when they default, then their government's done, right? It's just the people awaiting a new, you know, hand to guide them, right? So I don't know. I can't tell you that
Well, in the old
this
days, when
isn't
they
a
just take over
distraction.
a country, they owe them some money. They just take them over.
I mean, but not outright. Not outright. It's not. I don't think they would march troops in there or whatever. I think they would just the policies and things. They would put the people like in the current banking cartel structure. They don't come out right and say I work for the IMF or whatever. This is. They're just kind of sidemen, like Edward Mandel House was to Woodrow Wilson. They're guiding policy and things like that because and the point is to make sure that the people believe that they have a say in it, like what happens in the United States. We have elections and everyone's really charged about it, but it's bullshit. All right, if voting changed anything, it would be legal. All right, so it's the same thing. That's I think that gives the same opportunity to like you were talking about the BRICS nations. If they want
Hmm.
to jump in here and get control of Greece, now would be the time. Now certainly would be the time, but they shouldn't do it by force. They should just put their operatives in place like the current you know banking cartels do, and kind of behind the scenes just control things and turn the laws and policies of Greece to something that's friendly to them. See you later, Safi.
Shaft splitting.
Yeah, he was politely just side chatting there. He's got to go for his walk.
Okay.
All right. So I mean, I don't know if that sounds all paranoid, but I do smoke weed, and I'm gonna put the blame there a little bit, but
Okay.
I just have a hard time because since the 9/11 and all that other shit that and all these hoaxes, believing that anything that I'm seeing is genuine and not with some other big motive. So if the distraction thing just pops into mind naturally, there may be a lot of real stuff going on, but I can't tell.
Yeah, you mentioned the. I don't know if you want to jump into the shooting thing that happened in Charleston back there. There was a couple videos I saw that you shared.
Yeah.
They were interviewing the two kids. They lost their mother
Supposedly, yes,
in the
but
church, and this guy saying that they were actors.
yeah,
And
yes.
yeah, I shared that video with St. Tommy and who else we were watching it. Um, I saw what the guy was trying to say. I mean, yeah, they just lost their parents like less than 24 hours. They seem to have no emotional reaction. They seem very stiff and everything. But Tommy makes a good point, though. He made a good point as far as one being in shock, could be, but I think more importantly is um, it's something within how they were, because they almost seem like robots, right? I mean, it was like they were even the other. There was an older woman that came in later in the interview, and she was just reiterating what they're saying. You know, we have to do hate over love, and I mean that sounds all nice, right? It's like
Mhm.
totally contrary to what we would expect. You know, you should be a mess. You just lost your mother to a tragic shooting.
Yeah,
As
let's
far
remember
as
these aren't the Amish.
yeah, I mean, is it something we're programmed into them or
Dude, I don't think that anything
dead?
happened. I honestly don't, because you have the other video I posted of Nikki Haley, the governor of South Carolina, and her response was so over the top and ridiculous. And the fake crying was so pathetic.
Who's
And I mean,
Nikki
I know
Haley now?
Nikki Haley. Nikki
Yeah.
Haley is the governor of South Carolina, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, and she's on. She gave her little talk about it, and remember her. This woman's own kids were not even a little bit emotional, but yet Nikki Haley is fighting back the tears so hard, about this. And I understand she's doing her political song and dance, but it just seemed a bit odd.
So are you saying there was no shooting at all?
How would I know that?
I mean, I wouldn't know either unless I
But the
was there
people
and
they
saw
were
the bodies
interviewed,
coming out.
the people they interviewed had no connection to anyone in that shooting. There was not even a hint of. I mean, it was so
Well, those
scripted, it was
kids,
ridiculous.
apparently those kids who were interviewed, they were the son and daughter of one of the victims,
Supposed alleged victims. So yeah,
alleged victims, alleged. Okay.
I mean, you haven't seen any bodies, right? You didn't see any dead bodies.
No, I mean they did
They
put the
don't
list.
release that. They don't
They
do
put
that.
the list of the people who did die, including the
Mhm.
pastor.
Right.
So
And
we think they were just.
unless you've seen somebody get fucking killed on video, and even that, of course, is hard to believe sometimes. But I don't buy it. I need to see a body or something. But really, I want to see the appropriate reactions from the people who are claiming to be in these. All right, look, there's something too about the accents of those children too. All right, have you ever been to Charleston?
No.
All right, Charleston has a very unique dialect. I mean, all the way around. I mean, people may not be from there, but there it does have. They make my southern accent look almost northern, almost like a Yankee accent. Really, especially if they're from the Geech and Gullah area. All right. I mean, just being in that area, you will naturally your own speech patterns will start to adapt. It's just the way it is. Like if I lived in Pennsylvania or Brooklyn or something like that, then eventually my accent would change. It's just the way things are. These
How
kids,
long do you think it takes for an accent to change?
well, if you're Madonna, it can happen in a week.
All
She
right.
goes to England and starts talking like she's British. But I don't know. I mean,
Well, I've been in PA here for 8 years, and people still know I'm from New York.
yeah, but I bet when you go back to New York, they can hear a difference in your accent.
I don't know. I guess I'll find out next week.
Okay, if they
I'm
can,
at
they
it.
might be able to pick up on it. If somebody from New York comes down to the South and spends a couple of years and goes back up, you can pick it out, all the little nuances. And you're like, man, what happened to your accent? So So anyway, but the weird lack of feeling, it's not just that they were robotic. They're feeling what they were demonstrating in several points. I mean, there were smiles. There were, I mean,
Yeah.
just they were not natural. Some of these questions would have been painful. She asked a memory question to the children. Yeah, there's the video. She asked them a memory question about when the last time they saw their mom was. They didn't have the normal reflection moment of, I mean, it was just totally like scripted. You know, it wasn't like I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to remember this detail. The details weren't painful. It didn't bother them at all to recount it.
I wish I can play the video, but I
No,
think
it
it'll
would
be
be
long.
better. It's better if you play it without, you know, or if you look at it without the sound too, and look for, and that's a really good way to look for emotional content. Is, you know, behind what they're saying is if you watch it with no, you know, with it muted. You know what I mean? Because you can look for the appropriate emotions to the situation. They're either there or they're not. Remember, Mama just got shot less than a day ago, or even a day ago.
Yeah.
And someone's asking you questions about Mama getting shot and about how you feel about the guy who did it. The guy who killed your mama less than a day. Christians may have a thing about forgiving, but all Christians are scratching their heads going, wait. That's not how we do it though. It takes, you know, it doesn't happen that day. It doesn't even happen that week sometimes. It may take months before that forgiveness comes back around and you go, okay, I forgive you, kill my mom, but I'm praying for your soul, I think. You know? When I'm not praying for a rock to fall on you, I'm praying for your soul.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's, yeah. I don't know, William. I mean, I'm thinking about St. Tommy's points, and I think if you would have heard what he said, you know how he can be very articulate and eloquent in what he says, and the points he made. I think they were valid points. You know, one of, you know, could be shock, and the other, you know, a
Yeah.
certain level of programming. You know, this is the way you're supposed to act. You know, and every, you know, act very Christian, and I don't know.
Oh no, man. Come on.
Even the other lady, you know, the other lady was saying
Christians
this.
act right.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you could get Christians to be programmed to do what Christian things.
Listen, I understand your skepticism, you know, especially with, you know, 9/11 and all this stuff.
Whoa, look at that. Look.
Well,
Go back
oh
a
wait,
second.
hold
Did you
on.
see the smile? How the fuck?
Yeah, I meant, I mean, good.
How the fuck did you manage that?
Let me just try to.
With credit to Red Silver J,
Yes.
with
Yeah,
much,
there.
with much respect and much credit for his look at that.
There's the little. Yeah.
Mommy who? No, man. John, you know grief. You know grief. You know what it's like to be a Christian in grief and in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've been a programmed individual before by your own definition. There's no amount of programming that's going to make this not hurt. Even imagining that the loved one is in heaven right now looking down and smiling at you is not going to take away the loss and the selfish desire to have that person still with you. And then none of your Christian, during any of your Christian walk, did you become less selfish about wanting somebody to be with you and not wanting them to die and leave you?
I hear you, man. I hear you. I hear you.
It's hard. Are you
But to go
just
so
wanting
far
to give
to
them
say
the
that
benefit of the doubt because they're kids? Is that?
Oh, not because they're kids.
Are you sure?
I'm not willing to go so far that didn't happen at all.
I'm not saying that something didn't happen, but I'm saying that these two people that we're talking to here were not related to the person who is dead or the person who is supposed to be dead is not dead at all if they are related to him, because the emotional content is not there. It is not appropriate. It's not accurate. And for it to be with both of them and not just, I mean, one of them was having like a bonkers moment and the other one was emotional. I get it. But both of them are just, our team lost the game, but, we're going to come back next time and we're going to try a little harder. We could always, and they've
As
given
they
that
say on the
type of,
basketball court here, it seems like.
yeah, it's really, you're going, that's what I would expect if maybe, if your cheerleading squad didn't make it to finals, but they had a pretty good run. Okay, that's the kind of interview that would warrant the kind of emotion that they've displayed. Not mama just got shot by a crazy white boy in church the other day. That's. Oh no, we forgive him. They good. High fives to the killer. We're good with him. Word.
I hear you, but really, I'm.
Nobody is that chill. Nobody. So I mean, look, that's not. There's more clues besides that. The whole thing smells funny, and that's the thing about being a conspiracy theorist. That's what you have to go on. The things that smell off. If you were to read what was said in a book by these, if like a script, if you were to read it and you added your own in emotion to the words that were being said, would it even sound plausible? Is it because they're acting? Is the script good? I mean, there's different ways to look at this and find out, if it's, it does seem like it's written. She had the little girl at one point, I forgot what she said, but there's some cliche kind of, I don't know what they're called, little nuggets of wisdom or, we love everybody, or what we're feeling right now is just love. No,
Yeah.
no, that's something that sounds good if you read it in a book where you have the ideal hero or whatever saying it, but real people don't talk like that. When shit happens, real people talk about, I hope that motherfucker gets fried. That's what, when
And the reporter, yeah.
When 9/11 happened, I didn't have anybody I knew in the fucking building, but that didn't stop me from being full bore ready to support any initiative to turn the Middle East into a big plane of glass. Okay, because I was just emotion from that. They don't have that kind of emotion. If it happened to somebody else, there is just none. And that's my issue. And St. Tommy, God love him. He loves to see the best in everybody. He doesn't like to fear, and I understand, but there's a difference between being afraid and being aware.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, be aware that something's wrong here.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be more to this story as it develops. I mean, if they're saying, if these are not the kids, yet there's a shooting, I would imagine that somebody would stand up and be outcried, a relative of the people who actually got killed, and would say something.
Mm-hmm. I would say you're probably right. What option does that leave you?
What options to leave me, or
what if all the characters that were, I don't want to say all the characters, but what if, have they released the names of all the dead yet?
Yes, they did. They did.
Okay. I would be interested
with the pictures. I'll see if I could try to find the. I'll see if I could try to find a link that showed the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second here. Well, yeah. Oops. Yeah. Did they? Do you remember how many they say were in the church at the time, or was it just a? This happened during the week, didn't it? William? Did I? Hello? Oh, I hope I didn't lose my connection.
No, my dumb ass muted myself and went looking for a story, and I've been talking my head off. Right here live.
That's cool. That's yeah, I'm wondering how many people were in the. This happened during the week. right? So it wasn't a Sunday service, right? And I'm curious how many were there
Probably at a
because
Wednesday.
the report says he shot him with a 45, right?
Hmm.
9 people are dead. What do you got? You got 9 shots in a 45?
Depends on the make and model, doesn't it?
Apparently, he had to reload a couple times. He said he
Now,
reloaded a couple times.
I don't know why he would have had to reload a couple times unless he's just missing. And who's going to stand still while all that's going on?
Yeah, that's the
And and
question.
if your
That's why I want to know how
family,
many people were in there.
I'm telling you right now, if my family was in jeopardy, and I mean, we're gonna get down behind the pews, but if he's walking around shooting motherfuckers, I'm gonna take a risk. First, I'm gonna be throwing the hymnal, and then I'm gonna, in the distraction, I'm gonna tackle this motherfucker and beat him to death. I'm certainly not gonna sit back and let him continue to execute people one at a time, or whatever. Not with my family in there. Now, if my family wasn't in there, I'd be like, well, shit, it's a different story. I might try and protect my own ass to get home. Or I may do the same thing just because, these are my friends. Not just my family, but my friends. Yeah, I see that, Michael Land. You want to say something about that? Or do you want me to
Well,
read it? Okay.
well, it's people just want to look at the gun, the gun, the gun, the gun, the gun, because the government has an alternative mission for that gun. But the common element is the SSRIs. These drugs are designed for people to go off the hook, whether they kill themselves or others. And the literature for that is huge. And you don't take away all cars from everybody on the planet because you have a few drunks. You don't make laws against objects. You make them against people's behavior. Nobody on the planet doesn't understand that the government has covert assets running around doing this shit. We've looked at this since the Unabomber. Lone gunmen, off the hook in drugs, no friends, no problems, no nothing.
No, but Americans tend to think that this kind of stuff doesn't happen to us by our own agencies.
Good morning, I'll be ready, everybody. No, it's not true, to tell you the truth. It's just not true. It's just not an accurate sense of how things are.
I agree.
People just want to think that if they haven't seen a staged event, I can't help them. But it's the SSRIs, not the lone wolf, not the gun. I'd like to see like one fine upstanding citizen, NRA, blah blah blah, whatever, and he goes in without any drugs or anything under his belt and just go start shooting people. When does that happen? This scenario comes with 3 pieces: the person, the gun, and the drugs. So who's at fault here? I present it's not my gun.
No, your gun is an inanimate object.
I'm still trying to find the list. Well.
Hold on a second, kids. I gotta go start an IV. I'll be right back.
All right.
Thanks, Michael Lamb.
Apparently, it says 3 people. 3 people survived in this. I don't know if we heard from them, or if they're still in the hospital. Trying to get the list of the names. I know I had. Yeah. Click.
Take your time, man. How many viewers you got right now?
How many viewers we got? We got 2 viewers right now.
Yeah.
5 viewers. Sorry, we were looking for the list of the victims, and I had a story and I had the pictures.
I would love to see some interviews with the surviving victims. I would love to know who they are, and I'd love to see the schematic of where they were when everything went down. But I'm sure that they're still being all that's not going to be released. Maybe in 10 years from now. Maybe in 10 years from now they'll do Michael Moore will do a a video about it, documentary. And I think people skipped over the Aurora theater shooting way too fast too. And they're pushing it at us and they're rushing it by us so fast. By the time the conspiracy theorists have a chance to start breaking stuff down, there's a new one on us. And all that's being said is it's the guns, it's the guns. No, like Michael Land said, that's bullshit. It's not the guns. We haven't even established what's been going on with these people yet. It seems organized to me. I think that James Holmes fella may have, I don't know, I'm not going to say Manchurian candidate, but he had just started seeing a shrink. He was really normal, then he started seeing a shrink, and then the next thing you know, this guy's having this spaz out. Now, it could be SSRIs, or who knows, maybe.
What's the SSRI stand for?
Serotonin something. I don't know. It's an uptake inhibitor or some shit like that. Anyway, it's fucking with your brain chemistry. So she could tell you. I'm sure she'll be happy to tell you exactly what that means when she gets back.
Yeah.
But
I'm looking in my history. I'll give it one last chance. If not, I'm gonna move on here.
I'm gonna ask Dee now that she's here. Hey Dee.
Hello. What are you asking?
You know what
Dee?
You know what SSRI stands for?
Yeah. Oh God. It sounds familiar. I feel like I ought to know it.
It has to do with like antidepressants, like a serotonin inhibitor or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I vaguely. Yeah. It is something or other inhibitors. Something.
And how are you this morning, Dee?
I'm fine. Why are we talking about?
Oh, so you weren't listening and then coming in to...
No, I've just joined.
Okay, all right, cool. We were talking about the Charleston shooting and whether it's a hoax.
And going over some video that somebody put out.
Of the crisis actors. I mean, victims' family.
Oh, God.
Oh, they're claiming to be depressed.
No, they're...
sorry. I've just wondered what it had to do with SSRI.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you did ask that. We're talking about the... Michael Land had made the statement that all these recent shootings and all have one thing in common, and it's not guns, it's the SSRIs that the people are on.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that all these people were supposedly on... It's something to do with serotonin intake, isn't it?
I think so.
Serotonin, sorry, not serotonin. Oh, so it's related to depression then, because that's why you'd be on it, isn't it?
Right.
Okay, found it.
Are you going to present?
Yes, sir. I'm going to present.
Sweet.
So this is the right here are the 9 victims in the shooting. There's their names. D. Payne, Middleton Doctor, Tawanza Sanders, Myra Thompson, Ethel Lance, Susie Jackson, Sharonda Coleman Singleton, Daniel Simmons, Clementa Pickney, and Cynthia Hurd.
Does it give the names of the injured, the 3 injured, the 3 survivors? Or these? Is it? The 12 people were shot.
12 people were shot, I think. Oh yeah, there was 3 survivors, unless they were just 12 people in the meeting, because it was a small meeting, I think, from what I remember reading. So I don't know how many people are actually in there. There's some pictures of him. They're releasing pictures of shooter here.
I haven't read much about it, but I thought it's supposed to be an out-and-out racial attack. Race. Didn't the guy have an issue with black people?
Yeah, and if one of these racists and you were black and they killed your mama, would you be upset about it?
Oh, I think I would. Even if I wasn't.
Yeah, me too.
I'd be upset. Yeah.
But extra mad because the guy was a racist, bastard, right?
Well, I think it's the fact that Yeah, it's a very it's like
Yeah,
if he hadn't been racist, your mother would still be alive, basically.
right, exactly. It's extra
Yeah.
because it was senseless and it was just about hate and
Yeah.
not specific towards just, it could have been anybody in there, but it was your parents, it was your.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm having a hard time with this
Yeah.
whole thing
No, you
because
said it very well, actually.
the people, the children of one of the victims are not even having they're not even having a response. I mean, it's just totally unnatural, the things that are going on here, and the whole story is suspect because. Oh, never mind. I've done this before on another live show. I'm not going to go into it again.
Okay.
I haven't seen any of the news coverage, so I've not seen.
Yeah, we were particularly looking at a video somebody shared about an interview with a couple of the kids of the victims, and apparently they just seemed very emotionless, less than
Well, they're
24 hours.
shocked.
And
His
they're
hair.
just, yeah, that's the thing we're trying to say too, is it's shock.
Yeah. And as well, emotion. I mean, because I remember the Sandy Hook thing and somebody commenting about, I can't remember if it was one of the teachers or one of the parents was smiling, and I thought, yeah, but there's like something, I forget what it's called. I really have to look it up because it's about 31
No, that shit with Robbie
But
Parker was more than just a little suspect.
But there's this thing called something or other emotion transfer where you exhibit the wrong emotions, and it's a stress reaction. I myself laughed when my niece nearly died, and I went to see my sister at the hospital, and when the nurse came through with the good news, my sister burst into tears. I burst out laughing. Now, luckily, my sister understands that this is how I react to extreme stress, is I'm as likely to burst out laughing as I am to burst out crying.
Is this a rare condition?
Not particularly, no. I think it's quite common for people to sort of displace their emotions.
What would you say the average ratio between people who display the opposite emotion to what the situation calls for,
I really
as
don't
opposed
know.
to?
I honestly don't know, but I don't think it's that uncommon.
It's weird to have two people like that on camera at the same time, though.
It could probably be. I mean, we're kind of geared to mimic other people as well. So if one person did it, another person might do it.
Yeah, I mean, we could mimic it if it made sense to us, but if it seemed backwards, we might go, I don't know why are you doing that? Why are you laughing? Yeah, I can see the person laughing going, oh, this is inappropriate. Maybe I should, at least cover my mouth and not laugh in this guy's face,
But you've got so many things going on. You've got the unnaturalness of, well, for most people, of having a camera crew around you, which in and of itself would freak me out.
Right.
You've just witnessed a murder, or somebody you know has just been murdered. You're in shock. You're in absolute emotional state. I don't think, without being a very well-trained psychologist, anyone can guess as to whether somebody's, whether they're acting or not, because people do react strangely in situations. It's just the way we are.
Well, I mean, if you believe in the story that you're receiving, and you believe that the media is giving you the straight news, I mean, I guess that you feel free.
I doubt very much that the media gives us straight news. Overall,
something's wrong with this, and there's been a lot of these lately in the last few years. There's been a lot of really suspect goings on. Sandy Hook, not the least of which.
And what's to be gained by these hoaxes?
Gun control.
But you haven't had any extra gun control even after these hoaxes.
We can't have gun control. It's a violation of our rights.
So again, I ask you, what is the point of this then?
To get people to decide on their own to give up, to waive that right, and to disarm, for the benefit of public safety.
Well, from what I understand, I think the guns go up after these shootings, don't they, rather than down?
They do seem to go up.
So it seems counterproductive. So why would they carry on faking these things?
Because it doesn't do that with everyone. There's still a large portion of mostly liberals that will quickly go, this is ridiculous. You guys ought to give up your guns. I'm giving up mine because it's the right thing to do. It's for the children. And because they believe what they're told and they give that stuff up, and then you have other people that go, "This is suspect. I don't think this is right. I'm gonna double down and buy more guns."
Well, that's it. It's clearly not working if that is the aim. So why would they carry on?
because they have had some success. See, they're building a case right now with these events. All they need is a martial law situation, and the first thing that they can say, well, with recent events, the most necessary thing to do during this time of martial law is to go ahead and confiscate weapons, and we assure you we will return them to you. They'll even go so far as to bring labels and tags and stuff so that you can feel like you've had your weapon tagged and you'll get it back when it's over, and you never will. You have to disarm the populace to control them.
You know, again, William, I understand your skepticism, but I think sometimes can it go too far where you think like, yeah, listen, I know when media is not totally 100% straightforward. I get that, definitely. I'm gonna be skeptical of what they say. I'm not getting all the story. I'm gonna see if there's an agenda behind it. But then there's the other side. Can we be too skeptical where we start, you know, being critical of everything that comes out and looking, you know, we get paranoid in a way.
Right.
Too, you know?
And that's the type of... Sorry, William.
Go ahead, Dee.
Actually, this is the type of skepticism that actually annoys me, because I think we should be looking at the government. I think we should be looking at large multinational corporations who are funding the government. But then when people start coming out with extreme stories of how everything's a conspiracy, and especially the ones that, I'm not saying anyone in here is, I hasten to add, you know, and then you get the likes of David Icke and whoever you have in America saying, oh, it's lizard people. All of a sudden, the mundane, boring stuff we really should be looking at regarding the government is lost under these ridiculous conspiracies. And instead of talking about the government, we're talking about conspiracies and arguing about debunking them or not.
Well, no, that's not really. My goal is this. My goal is to put the idea out there that these things could be suspect and to be looking, but really, it doesn't hurt that I don't believe the news story. It's healthy for me not to believe the news story. It's also healthy for me to double down on what I know is my natural right, to say, you know what, no matter what, I know that this is a right that's inherent in me. It's unalienable. Okay, so even if they passed a law, it doesn't mean that I have to give it up. It's my right. And so, yeah. So what I'm saying is, there's nothing wrong with me holding that stance too, because that's what maintains the stability of our rights, because people do double down. So either way, on this issue, or all these events about gun control, as long as it's still causing some of us to get rock solid in our stance there, then I think it's a good thing, and it's fine to question. It does no harm.
I agree with you there, and I did say I don't know that anyone in this particular hangout is like that. I was just saying, you know, it does frustrate me when people start coming out with ridiculous conspiracy theories, and I'm not saying yours is, because I personally see no reason, but then I don't live in a country where we are concerned about gun control, so it's a different. I mean, I'm not going to get into that because I really it's a different kettle of fish for me altogether. So.
Hey, Prescott, I'm a bit of a truther.
I don't know how. I do get the impression it's a little too easy for most people to get hold of legal arms in America. I don't know though. I think there should be more psychological tests myself, because there's certainly some nutters out there with guns. But that's a whole different story. So, and as I say, I come from a different culture, so I don't really actually like commenting much on America and guns, because it is a very different culture, and I don't understand it, and I freely admit that. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail the conversation.
It's okay. It's all right. Prescott, anything to say? I'll move on here. Good morning.
Moving on.
No, not really. The noise in the background has stopped, so I can talk. But no, not really. I really didn't know much about this particular story, so it was interesting to listen to you guys talk about it. But it did. I mean, I was kind of serious when I said, like, you know, is it possible? Like, I'm a bit of a I'm a little skeptical of the media as well, and because I think that there has been some evidence that the government has kind of played its role, its own PR role in its influence and what makes news and what doesn't. And right now there's kind of this conversation going on with Hillary Clinton and her own bid for power. And anytime that I see anything going on now, the first question is in my mind is, okay, what's going on that front that the media is being told to ignore, and they're filling up the space with other conversations that are meant to distract us from that particular issue.
Absolutely. I agree with you there. That is my main contention with most news outlets. Is that, yeah. Well, while we're worrying about ridiculous stories, and I'm not saying those particular stories are ridiculous, but in general,
Good.
what are we ignoring? That is a lot of
dead
stuff we're
folks.
ignoring is boring and mundane. Multi-classing. Sorry. Yeah, a lot of a lot of the things we probably should be looking at are very boring and very mundane, and they don't, and they're easily overshadowed, should I say?
Well, there is a push to enforce much stricter legislation on firearms ownership and things like that, and that is definitely a policy that is being pushed in front of everyone's face over here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
So we are to be suspect, because when the president's he's hinting about an executive order to do something like this, you go, wait, nah, you don't even have that authority, dude. You have to be suspect, and you also have to find out what their limitations are, so that when they violate those limitations, when they exceed their boundaries, that you can go, hey, no, you're not allowed to do that, so it doesn't continue to go further. And I think you're right, with all the distractions and some of the crazier stories, people are spending less time learning what the boundaries of their government and what they really are.
Yeah.
I'll say good
Howdy,
morning
Nate.
to howdy Nate, and also there's a person. They commented that William, you have no clue. So I put a link in the event page. If I think you want to join. You play. I think that was who it was made the comment, or was it your name here? No, it was your name here. That's
That said, I have no
Rob.
clue.
That's Rob. So he might come in here and have a
Yeah,
comment.
Bob can come in and talk about it.
Yeah. So I put a link in the event page. If you want to join us. Nate, any comments? How you doing this morning, first of all?
I'm doing well. Comments on what?
Oh, I didn't know if you were listening. We were talking about the thing in Charleston, the shooting.
Oh, I have lots of comments. Anything in particular you were talking about?
A video that William shared me a video. They were interviewing a couple of the kids from he says the alleged children of one of the victims, and how they just seemed very emotionless during the interview, which was less than 24 hours from when it happened. And William seems to think they were acting. They weren't.
Yeah, well, when you watch it, they found out less than a day ago that their mom got killed in a hate crime by a white supremacist in church, and they're already to the stage of, we forgive you, and all we're feeling is love. And I'm thinking that's a little disingenuous. But not only that, if you watch the clip with it muted and you watch their faces, the expressions and emotions that are being presented are more akin to, we just lost a football game here at the high school, and we're going to do better next time, and we're feeling pretty excited about it. It's not the right emotional content for what's being discussed, in my opinion. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you could be. So, government conspiracy?
I don't know. I would say probably.
I don't think I could get there, but I understand your view.
Don't. I think if there was a government conspiracy, they'd have much better actors on.
Well, if anybody actually died in that, I'm very sorry to the families or whatever. It doesn't make me any less curious about what's going on with these two people that are being interviewed, or the entire situation in the story there, because it seems questionable altogether. But I'm extra knee-jerked because right off the bat, within 24 hours, every proponent for gun control has come out and just tried to make the case yet again on this. And
Oh, that is, were we trying to be like all like? Anyways, the gun control makes me, that makes my blood boil a little bit because it defeats everything, right? So after Newtown, if everyone would have got what they wanted, if all these gun control advocates would have got what they wanted, that would have not touched the Charleston. Like, the guy had a handgun, and they said he reloaded multiple times, right? So if they would have banned every assault gun in the nation, if they would have banned every high-capacity clip in the nation, that wouldn't have, Charleston still would have happened. A handgun with the second to smallest clip ammo you can get. The only thing less than that is like a 6-shooter. So, yeah, 9 bullets and the guy loads multiple times. So that just proves if they want to do something, they're going to do something. And if they don't have guns, they still have knives, bombs, swords, machetes. I mean, you pick it. So,
yeah, good point.
And illegal guns as well.
Well, I was looking last night at a Wikipedia entry on mass killings in Australia because somebody had made a comment about since the gun regulations were introduced down there that there was a significant drop in gun-related violence. But when I was looking at the stats, it was kind of like it seemed to be, because when I was looking at the pre-96, I think it was around 96, the pre-96 violence, yes, there was a lot of gun violence, but then suddenly all I see is arson, knife violence. It's just you can take the guns away, but I mean, you may reduce gun violence, but are you going to reduce violence?
You know, I really think the best thing is, you know, an armed society is a polite society. So give as many guns to as many people who can, who can, like, somehow demonstrate their ability to be trained or handle it properly, or, you know, in compliance with the law. I mean, because, you know, any law you make, you're only affecting your potential allies. So any good law-abiding citizen, they're going to follow the laws. Well, except Will. But, you know, if that's the goal, is to make all these laws and make gun control really stringent, then that's only affecting your potential allies. Your opposition, they don't care. Make as many laws as you want. Outlaw guns tomorrow. See how that works. So it seems like, you know, you should be like, look, if you're willing and able and can demonstrate, you know, this certain threshold that, you know, you're competent, you're capable, you're a reasonable person, then, you know, we want to encourage you to have a gun. I mean, you know, if there are a few people, like in that church, we don't know unless it actually happens. I mean, especially it seems like these people were very non-violent, very quick to forgive. But anyways, I mean, if you just have a group where there's lots of people who are armed, then I just don't see any other way. I don't know. I mean, every evidence, like, you know, the opposition usually says something like, well, if someone starts shooting, then all these people with guns, they're going to start shooting, and lots of people are going to die because people can't aim, and blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't think we have any evidence of that. I think the evidence we have is, you know, if some crazy person starts shooting and someone there's with a gun, that incident usually ends really quick, and surprisingly, you know, they're not just crazy civilians who freak out and start shooting random people. So we've showed a pretty amazing competence for, you know, directing the bullets toward the people that need the bullets.
Nate,
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. You and your family are in church. This scenario happens. You're unarmed. The guy stops to reload. You stay hunkered down behind a pew?
Well, in a perfect scenario,
With your children.
Huh?
Remember, your children, your wife and children are there too.
Well, do you know they were behind a pew? Do you know where they were before you start, you know, making accusations of what you should do?
Okay, I'm sorry. Nate, would you come down off the top of the podium and stop waving your hands? What would you do?
Well, you know, this is a really hard thing because there's lots of variables, but this is what I would like to think I would do if it was remotely feasible, right? So if that happened, and I was in a position where, you know, I felt like I could get away from the pew, or you know, get behind the guy, or get to an exit door and run around or something without being shot in the face, then I'd like to think I'll do that, come around, you know, like behind him, and hopefully there would be security people or something there, and then you know, would do what needs to be done. But yeah, that right there is already a stupid scenario because if anyone in there has a gun, well, then they can solve that problem.
Well, that's right. But let's say that there's no gun. Let's say that there's no gun. And you just said something. If there's an exit, you would go out the exit, even if it was to come back around. If there was an exit, how many people would just be standing there letting this guy reload and cap people and not move it?
You know,
all right. Well,
I think,
again, shock. You don't know how people are going to react in shock.
yeah.
Well, the other thing is too, do you know what room they were in? If they were in a meeting room, in a back room, there's only one door in the room, and if he's standing at the door, you're not going anywhere.
Like, well, yeah, I would like to put myself in the group that wouldn't be that, but I don't know until it happens. But I do think there would be a lot of people who would just be hunkered down and staying there because of shock or panic, or you know, they don't know what to do. They're like, I need to do something, but if I get up, I'm probably going to get shot. So I would hope I wouldn't be one of those people, but I think there would still be a lot of people that would just hunker down and hope for the best.
I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that is what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, you know, William, you're kind of just throwing these ideas out there, what should have been done and what should have happened, but you don't know what happened. I mean, have you heard of the reports of what room it was in or how it happened? Are you just going on guesses?
No, I would love to hear some reports on what room it was in and what happened. I would like to know how many shots were fired. I would like to know a lot of things. But
Okay,
the information is not forthcoming yet. And in the meantime, I'm just thinking.
Yeah, but the thing, yeah, that's it. That's the point. The information's not forthcoming yet. So you going out and saying,
I'm thinking out loud, Bob.
Huh? Yeah, but you know, but the way you're saying it is, you know, you're like, well, you should have done this and you should have done that. This looks fishy to me. Well, you don't even know. And then in a couple days, when you find out they were all stuck in a room and he was at the door, are you going to go wrong?
Then I will be wrong.
Well, yeah, but are you going to go along and these videos you're passing around and everything, are you going to go back and put notes underneath each one of them saying, I was wrong, this is wrong, and it's not a conspiracy, and, you know, this is true, and this happened, and the point is you
what
can't...
purpose would that serve?
The point is just like the newspaper. The newspaper posts something that's wrong. People want the newspaper to retract it. Because if you don't retract it, then it kind of stays out there and people get to believe it. And it's basically lying. I mean, until you know the facts, for you to express what should have been done and how things should have been done, and these things point to a conspiracy when you don't even know what happened or how it happened. It just amazes me that you jump right to this other stuff and everything else. It's.
Why don't you tell me what you think happened, Bob?
I don't know. I haven't read the story, but you know, somebody who probably does is Dragnot.
Have you watched any of the interviews?
Dragnot's got family down there, so.
Have you watched any of the interviews?
If anything, I think you should talk to Dragnot and ask him.
Hey.
He knows a lot about it.
You know I'm in South Carolina, right?
How close to Charleston?
He's got family there.
Yeah, he's got family that actually lives there, by there. So, he was actually worried that some of his family members were in the shooting. So I'm not sure what happened with all that, but he'd be the one to talk to. I'm sure he'd know a lot more. And the other thing is William, I've told you I got something screwed up in my brain. When people die, it don't bother me.
Yeah.
I've never cried for a family member in my life that's died. I've never cried for a family member. Okay.
I don't know if I'd necessarily.
No, I've never cried for a single family member that's ever died. My father.
For that, Bob, I wouldn't be telling many people that.
Well, I don't know if that necessarily is.
No, I mean, yeah, there's much in my brain that doesn't allow me to feel that emotion.
You're just a robot. Why would you have emotion?
Yeah. So, and for people to say, I hear it all the time. It's like, well, you know, that's just not natural. That's just not natural. Well, it's natural to me. I've never felt sorrow or anything for pets, family members. I've never shed a tear for anybody in my family that's died.
Do you have any siblings?
Huh?
Do Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I got
Are they
two
able to
daughters
show
too.
emotion? Are they able to show emotion for family members when they die? Do they think it's weird that you don't cry at funerals or whatever?
Actually, my sister, I've never seen my sister's husband die, but he was sick for a long time too. But I didn't see her cry, and it's, I've never really paid attention to them. I mean, I've never seen my brother cry when my father died or anything. They might do it in private, but I've never seen it. But to say it's not natural when it's natural for me. I mean, again, people make assumptions of their own life and how they think everything else should be in the world. And when they don't see it going their way, then now it's this big thing. It's a big conspiracy. It's a big problem. People shouldn't. That's not the natural way to act. People shouldn't be acting that way. And even Dee told you, she laughs at stressful situations.
Uh-huh.
So everybody acts differently, and you can't judge people on your life.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, to Bob's point here, but I mean, I understand your skepticism, and like Dee was saying also, but people do react differently, and when these people put these videos out, they jump on the conspiracy bandwagon right away. I don't know. It's a bit misguided, I think, a little bit. I think maybe we have to just wait and get more information out.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that, man. I'm not ready to write down that this is absolutely what's happening in stone, and I've never said anything to that effect.
Well,
what I am saying, I'm just thinking out loud here, and I guess that it could be offensive to some people that I don't immediately buy that what's coming out, and I'm questioning. And if later on I'm proven to be wrong, I can easily accept that. But in the meantime, I think it's suspect. And until more information comes out, I'm going to maintain that skepticism until that's put to rest.
Well, but if it was a conspiracy, like what do you think? Like they just took 9 people that everyone knew in the community and they moved them to a tropical island somewhere? Like what happened to these 9 people if they're not dead? Because no one's going to see them again.
Don't be so sure that no one's going to see them again.
I mean, the amount of people involved for this to be a cover-up is a little incredulous. And just to go back to what your name was saying a moment ago, you've reminded me. I have a friend who's told me that he doesn't know how to cry, and it's not that he doesn't want to, but he doesn't know. He cannot cry. He doesn't. I don't know if it's a physical or a mental issue, but he cannot cry.
Well, I don't think
doesn't mean he lacks emotion. I hasten to add.
To those 2 little kids, if I'm wrong and your mom's dead, you handled it magnificently.
Well, I mean, even if they were in a state of shock, right? They could, like 2 weeks from now, they could absolutely break down and lose their mind.
Yeah.
There could be delayed stuff, but I mean, I don't think just because someone can't physically cry or has issues physically crying, that says nothing about their emotional state. Like, maybe you have clogged tear ducts. Like, maybe you're very, very sad. Like, I doubt, your name just because he can't cry at funerals. That probably doesn't mean he's happy people died. It probably means, he's like, well, that sucks. Wish that wouldn't have happened. I feel bad, but yeah, I'm not going to cry.
All right.
I'm not a big crier either.
You guys win. You guys win. It was totally legit. Let's move on to another subject then. Everybody.
Okay. I wasn't trying to push back against you so much. I was just talking about the crying thing because I've had that too. Like I don't cry a lot, and people are like, "You're devoid of emotion. You're so callous." I'm like, "You're stupid." I'm like, I feel the same way you do. Just because I'm not crying and giving more money to Kleenex corporations doesn't mean I'm any less sad than you.
Well, I'm sure. Are there talking to the religious people? If you're really deeply religious, your parent would be going up to meet Jesus. And you're going to meet them in heaven one day. I mean, wouldn't that also decrease some of the sorrow and loss because your parents are in heaven and you're going to be with them soon anyways?
Well, in the big picture sense.
Yeah, I'm sure they're probably not going to selfishly wish that their parents were still around and be a little upset with this guy because they've got Jesus in their heart.
Okay.
Well, with that, I'm going to go on to another topic, if that's okay.
That would be fabulous.
Okay. He's been a little bombarded, but hey, I hope we helped you out a little bit, William.
Can I just quickly
Go
say
ahead.
before we go to the next topic, William, that don't get me wrong, I don't think we should blindly accept everything the newspapers and the government say.
I think I know that about you, Dee.
Okay.
A
Next
healthy
subject,
amount of
sorry.
skepticism is good,
Yeah,
right? But we need some
absolutely.
balance. For sure.
Sorry, maybe it's that chicken holocaust going on next door that I told you about, Brojo, that's got my head a little a little over twisted this morning.
What?
Yeah.
Anyway, next subject. Sorry.
Yeah, you really don't want to know about that. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I
Brojo knows what
suspected
I'm
that.
talking about.
Next
Group
subject.
hug,
I think
group hug.
we'll even like to talk about this.
Group hug.
Group hug.
Oh, hugs.
Well, oh yeah, let me put a link to give you a link in the side chat. William, I think this is a little on the lighter side. We're going to talk about marijuana in Colorado.
I want to do more than talk about it, buddy.
Marijuana prices are crushing. Yes, finally,
Yes.
it's happening.
Yeah, apparently, in this story, some people from New York, they went to Colorado, do a little survey, and they're finding that the prices are declining pretty quickly in Colorado because so many are getting into the business. Hey, supply and demand, right? Echo 101.
That is awesome.
I love capitalism.
Well, I mean, actually, the prices, in and of themselves are pretty good. It's just the recreational taxes that are crazy. So I wish like the prices themselves wouldn't fall because they're at a fair, I feel fair price. I wish because the people that make this stuff, they need to make money. But I wish the government would lighten up on their taxes.
What does that mean, recreational tax? What does that?
It means like for medical, I can go get like half an ounce for $30, and it means for recreational, they can go get that very same half ounce for like $100 and something.
Oh hell no! That's ridiculous.
And it's the exact same product, exact same facility. It's just one is recreational tax and one is medical. So medical, there's almost zero tax. Recreational, there's like a crap ton of tax.
Well, here in the story, it says that an eighth of an ounce of recreational cannabis has dropped from $50 to $70 to $30 to $45 currently. An eighth of an ounce, which is still, if that's just, unless that's real, that's gonna be good stuff.
Nate,
I
I got a
Okay,
question.
an ounce now sells for between $250 and $300. It says on average compared to $300 to $400 last year.
Oh God, yeah, and medical's like $180 to $200.
Oh, that's brilliant. I'm sorry, I'm just mouth watering right now. The prices are going down. But I gotta ask, if a cop sees you on this, somewhere smoking weed, like I don't know, in your yard at your mailbox, all right, and he just happens to be like I don't know, maybe it's one of them horse cops or whatever, and he smells it. Anyway, he knows you're smoking weed. Does he ask to see your license or your permission slip or whatever the hell?
Oh no, there's nothing. Like, I mean, he may ask to see your ID to make sure you're over 21, but there's no permit. There's no
All the
slip.
regulation is done through the sales.
Yeah, it's at the just like liquor. So you don't have to have a permit to drink alcohol. If you're 21 and you can show your ID, you get a six-pack and you can go drink it.
And grow it, right? You can grow it though, right? It's legal to grow there.
I actually don't know about that.
Apparently,
I think you need a license to grow, but I'm not.
I'm sorry. The story. The story also says there's a comment. Hearing a lot of noise. Who is that?
Wow.
Hello. Who is that?
I have no idea.
Michael.
Michael.
I got it.
I'm gonna mute Michael. Okay, thank you. Apparently, yeah, there's currently a 10% sales tax on recreational cannabis.
Well, it's not just 10% though; it's a lot more than that.
Oh.
So it is like.
But wait a second, and they're repealing it. They're cutting it back to 8% in 2017 because to squeeze out the black market. Because that is part of the problem. If it's taxed too high and you make it too expensive, now the black market it ends up being cheaper. You're not.
Gonna go there, yeah.
The guy growing it and selling it out of his basement is making a killing.
Yeah, it was something like it was taxed 3 times along the way. So, like, whatever the tax was, I don't know if they've changed this since, but like the proposal whenever it first became legal was it was taxed like whatever percent they decided. But it was like from the seed people, like whoever initially starts the process, they were taxed. Then whenever they sell it to like the next people, like the manufacturers or whatever, they paid a tax. Then whenever it was sold to the retail store, they also paid a tax. So even though it may be only like 10%, you're basically paying that 10% 3 times. And it's just overkill.
Is
See people. Yeah.
Are they related to the dead people? Just sorry.
okay.
I don't know
I
what
know
that
what you
people were called. The seed people.
I think we all knew what you meant by it. Just the way it came out sounded so adorable.
Body snatchers.
We're little seed people. I'm so sorry.
It was funny. It was funny.
Here in Canada, we have the GST or HST here in Eastern Canada. And so while it's true you pay when you purchase, you then get a credit against what is sold. So it's kind of like a plus and minus kind of thing. So it's not like you're paying three layers of tax, because the tax that you pay when you buy, you get to take from your tax through what you sell. So I don't know if that's how it's set up there, but usually when there's a system in which a tax is paid out in a purchase, that when you sell it, the tax you receive then kind of negates the tax that you paid.
Right, that would be like business taxes type of thing.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, I don't know if that's how it's
like
set
a
up
write-off
in
type of.
Colorado, just that I know that that's how it's done here.
Well then,
All I know is
seems
that
like it'd be
here-
hard to tax you if you had the right to grow it yourself or whatever. If it's legal or constitutional in any way, then them taxing it means that they're converting your right into a privilege, and that's not acceptable.
I would assume that if you grow your own and just smoke it, they can't tax you for that. But if you're selling it, I suppose it's like any other product that you grow and then sell. You're subject to tax, aren't you?
No.
Yeah, that's like moonshine, right? Like, no
Well,
one's gonna stop.
when you're legally selling something, for example, if you
Like tobacco. It's got to be controlled in some way in order for the government to kind of regulate.
Make some money off of it. The government wants to make money off of it, because honestly, you can contract your time and labor as you see fit. I mean, you can have a private exchange between yourself and someone who wants to buy your produce. And it has nothing to do with the government at all. They didn't put in on this. They didn't help grow this. No, we're not interested in cutting the government in. And if they try to, I mean, what right do they have to interfere in your commerce?
No, I don't mean like if I grew some, when I grow my vegetables, I sold a few of them to my neighbour. I mean, if I had a large field and I'm growing it, and then I set up a market and a business, that's what I meant. But when I said when you're growing stuff and selling it as a business.
What if you have a lot of neighbors?
Well, yeah.
And they have a lot of money they don't want, and you have.
I'd go for bartering if I were you.
Well, there you go. There you go.
I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that in terms of if you're growing anything and selling that produce as a business, you are still subject to business taxes for selling stuff. That's what I meant by, whether it's cannabis or whether it's vegetables or flowers. If you're selling it as a business, you still have to pay taxes. That's what I meant.
Yeah. If you're gonna put it out there and try and do the honest thing, if you want to play the game, yes.
Well, I guess it's kind of like you can make baked goods and try and sell them door to door and make money, or you take them down to the grocery store. But once you take them down to the grocery store for them to resell, then you're starting to deal with the need of regulation and FDA approval and crap like that.
And in my experience, the only reason you would need, like Dee said, that you would need a storefront to sell out of is if you had such a large crop that you were having to get people to drive to your establishment. You had to advertise to get rid of it. But if you're just growing a half an acre and you're dicing it up between your friends for whatever, reason. The government shouldn't have anything to say about that, and if they do, they're overstepping their boundaries. Because you don't need to advertise. No weed dealer needs to really advertise. That people are trying to find you. People are like asking weird, uncomfortable questions to other friends to try to find out where they can get some weed. They're looking for you.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you guys, what do y'all think about weed? And do you know if anybody knows where you could get some? Not that I want some, but I got a friend of mine that wants to get some.
Yeah, a friend of mine wants
And I'm
to.
looking out for him. Awkward.
I saw a story a couple weeks back. Kids were selling they were having a lemonade stand, and the cops came up, told them they could not do this. They needed to be regulated and stuff like that. I mean, it's gone.
Oh, that's the stupidest
It's
thing.
gone to the point. So yeah, it's so stupid. I remember when I was a kid. Yeah, we used to set up a little lemonade stand. I was a little entrepreneur then. I make a few dollars, and now it's just got so crazy.
I was just trying to think if there's a possible health and safety risk. So I know if you sell any sort of food here in the UK, you need to have a health and safety certificate, and they have to check your premises wherever you're making it. But yeah, I do agree. It does sound a little ridiculous that just kids selling it.
Well, it's the slippery slope that they're concerned about.
Mm.
It's kind of like if they don't close that down, then at what point do they? And so they've just kind of a zero tolerance policy in a lot of places, so that nobody actually has to make discretionary calls.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Is Michael Ann, you still with us?
Yep, just got back in the room.
Oh, good. Because I'm going to bring up a story. I'm sure you can definitely give us your insights. Let me pull it up here. Screen share. Hold on a second. Okay. This is coming from
Did you ever figure out that
Scotsman.com. I'm sorry, what was that, Rob?
I don't know if I missed it earlier. Did you figure out what the SS, whatever it was?
Oh yeah, what's that stand for? SSRI, Michael?
It is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
It's an antidepressant, among other things.
Isn't that like ecstasy? Like the SSRI inhibitor thing? Or at least that's what ecstasy focuses on or something.
Yeah, most drugs that are uppers increase your serotonin, don't they? I think that's why they're uppers. But I could be mistaken. I'm not an expert in there.
Is weed an antidepressant?
No, it's an analgesic.
I don't know. I feel awful depressed when I don't have it.
Pretty antidepressing.
Well, I suppose, yes, mentally it is, yes. Whether it's chemically, it's a different kettle of fish.
Well, anyway, there's this story that came out of Scotsman.com. Says scientists have challenged the belief that vitamin D deficiency from lack of sunshine can cause increased heart disease and deaths in winter. Research led by Emeritus Professor Hugh Turnstall-Padot from Dundee University suggests that vitamin D is unimportant in cardiovascular disease and winter deaths, whatever its role in other diseases. Vitamin D was first linked with excess winter disease in '81. Thousands of healthy men and women agreed to have risk factors measured, blood taken for testing, and their medical records followed. Results were related to intervening illnesses and death. They showed that while overall instances of cardiovascular events did not vary seasonally, deaths from heart disease and from other causes did. Vitamin D levels also varied, with highest levels seen in August and lowest in March, a 2-1 difference. But crucially, this was several weeks after peak winter deaths. So changes in vitamin D were too late to be the cause. People with lower vitamin D levels did have higher rates of cardiovascular disease, but low vitamin D levels were associated with lifestyle and other risk factors. Let me correct. For vitamin D level, a trivial, no additional effect.
You went a bit robotic there.
Little red.
No, I
Sorry.
mean not you personally. Your connection. Sorry, I wasn't.
Yeah, I
just
probably got a
praising
couple
you.
of different. I got a couple windows open. But I thought maybe Michael M wanted to weigh in on vitamin D and how it affects our health. And oops, sorry.
Now, when you look at vitamins, there's a hierarchy. Believe it or not, there's some vitamins that are not as significant as others. Some vitamins we also classify as an adaptogen, meaning they do a number of things. A, D, and E are fat solubles, and they're very specific in what they'll do. They even have toxic ranges. They're not difficult to find in diet. It's easy because most people are eating egg, meat, butter, and fish oils and things of that nature. Sardines, liver, most people in this country are drinking milk. But in any event, it's an easy thing to be able to get. It does affect the bones and the heart, as with, everything should be in synergistic blend. You don't overdose on D and not take a look at A, B, and C. So it's all in synergy. It's not one vitamin over another. You would not invite someone to your home and tell them you're going to give them a garden salad and just provide lettuce. So each vitamin has its role, and that role is significant in that it requires the synergy of the other vitamins as well. So most doctors don't even understand the role of deficiency in common day diseases. Most people don't think you could be deficient in this country, but fact is that most of us are. Too much of some stuff, not enough of another. And disease is really about what you're missing and not what you have. So with nutrition, you can reverse engineer disease, and it has to be addressed. It is the missing shoe in everyone's chronic, life-threatening, or long-standing illness problem. So D, while it does provide with some interesting needs for the patient, it's not vital. Doesn't come to the level of some of the B's and C, but it does have its role to play. But it is easily obtained in the standard American diet. The reason why medicine likes D is because they've determined now that they're going to reclassify that as a medication. And if we can push D, then we can get people to buy these calcium drugs so that we can get them to come into this osteoporosis avenue of revenue. I find it interesting when they talk about osteoporosis, they only mention women, because men could give a shit. It's women that drag men to doctors. Most men could give a flying wazoo. But, we women, we got to watch out for that osteoporosis, all right.
Mm-hmm. It's it's not really changed. I remember some time ago, about 5 or 10 years ago actually, where they were saying that there's a resurgence of rickets because parents aren't sending their kids out into the sun because they're terrified of skin cancer. It's like, oh my God.
That's not it. You can't send kids outside. As long as there's video games, they'll sneak back into the windows if you lock the door.
No, I know, but a lot
you
of
can
parents,
do. They'll come up to the vents.
A lot of parents are like putting, really high sun factor creams on their kids. And apparently, you should be out in the sun for something like at least 15 minutes a day if you're a child.
I feel sorry for the Irish then.
Oh.
I think just being outside, even if you haven't got bright sun, you'll get some benefits from the sun, even if you can't see it during the daytime. maybe half an hour in Ireland, but yeah, apparently they were concerned about a resurgence of rickets.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't.
What about the link to not getting enough sunshine to depression? Like, in some parts of the world,
yeah, seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah. In I forget which Scandinavian country it is. It's one where they end up with like no sun at all. They have treatment, don't they, of the UV lights?
Yeah, but honestly, you
Yeah.
can go outside for 5 or 10 minutes in direct sunlight, and you'll be good for a couple days. As far as like, I think your attitude and mood, you don't have to have it every day. Those people get burnt out on it and get like have you ever had sun sickness before?
No.
It's you feel nauseated. Normally accompanies sunburn and all. You
Yeah,
can't sleep.
sunstroke, I think they.
I don't know about so far as a stroke, but
William,
no,
are you
it's called
sure?
sunstroke.
William, are you showing the picture? Is this the guy who took the silver, the colloidal silver, too much silver, and he turned blue?
he's the one that did it wrong. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I do it right. I've been doing it right for years. He
Yeah.
obviously can't follow instructions.
But yeah, what I'm saying, in Scandinavian countries, that they literally do not have the sun during the
Oh no, William,
daytime,
we
like for
haven't
more
seen
than an
your real
hour.
color. Oops, sorry, Dee.
I was just saying, I can't remember which is one of the Scandinavian countries where I think that during the winter they quite literally have something like only 1 hour of sun a day, if that. So
That'd
there
be
are
awesome.
countries, there are countries where they genuinely get
Isn't
very
that
little sun during the winter.
Alaska? Doesn't Alaska also sometimes they get 24-hour sunlight and then they get 24-hour dark?
I don't know if that's it's somewhere in that region. I don't think it's Alaska. I'm not. Sorry, Nate.
I don't think it's 24 hours at a time. I think it's like 3 months at a time. Like 3 months sun, or half a year or something. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Baldassar, where he was saying that he was getting so much, daylight. It was hard for him to go to sleep. Like light out all the time for a good couple months.
Yeah, on those seasons when it's sunlight all the time in like Alaska, it gets darker, but it doesn't. It gets like dusk maybe, like early dusk. It never really, the sun doesn't seem like it ever goes down. I mean, from what I've watched, I've never been there. I just watched a bunch of documentaries on it. So.
There's the morning crow. There's the morning crow.
I love crows.
You're breeding these things, aren't you?
He's like the real life version of Heckle and Jekyll.
I just posted a link. It doesn't actually state the countries, but it shows that the longitude and latitude.
Brilliant.
And there are times when there's like 1 hour's sun.
Very nice.
You get 23 hours in January and 1 hour in June, which is their winter. And at the opposite end of the scale, you've got 1 hour in January and 23 hours in June. So, yeah. And of course, on the equator, you get 12 hours sun, 12 hours non-sun every day.
Well, to make you guys even more depressed, some scientists are now claiming that the Earth is entering a 6th extinction phase, with many species, including our own, labeled the walking dead.
Well, that sounds positive and uplifting. Let's hear it.
It's a report by scientists at Stanford, Princeton, and Berkeley found that vertebrates were vanishing at a rate 114 times faster than normal. In the damning report published in the Science Advances journal, researchers note that the last similar event was 65 million years ago, when dinosaurs disappeared, most probably as a result of an asteroid.
We know this because we found a big note about the whole thing.
Yeah. Let's see what else it says here. Research examined historic rates of extinction for vertebrates, finding that since 1900, more than 400 vertebrates have disappeared, an extinction rate 100 times higher than in other non-extinction periods. Amazing how they even know all this from hundreds, millions of years ago. That's it. Pretty short story there.
Well, I'm sure they used some very precise instruments and some good calculations. They had a lot of science stuff around. There was like a lot of beeping noises, and they were doing tests. And somebody said, "Look, vertebrates are just dying out rapidly." And the computer said that computes. And so yeah, it's just like Flash Gordon or something like that. That's what's going on when they're making these decisions in labs somewhere. Eggs are bad for you.
Well, the science community have their versions, have their own version of fundamentalists.
Right.
You know, the world's coming to an end. Apocalypse is on its way, and you know they're just all in. So,
but with a little less hope, you know.
Yeah, they must have. We probably kept some records, but I don't know how we'd know. I assume it's to do with archaeology and what have you, fossils. But we certainly know some things have gone extinct, like the dodo, because all the seamen ate them. So sailors would be more appropriate.
No, I got you. It just took a second. Gutter mind. So no, I was gonna. No, I totally derailed, D, because you said one word.
As soon as I said it, I thought, oh, God, no.
There's going to be some juvenile ass in here that's going to derail everything by talking about the word semen. And here I am.
Wow. You just said what we were all thinking.
No, I know. I think I saw Preston's avatar squirm. So I think he was with me on that.
Well, I put a link there. Give me more detail to this report if anybody's interested.
I think I'd be interested to find out if the rate of people who are lactose intolerant are dramatically increasing, like every decade. I think that's got to be true.
Probably, and wheat intolerance as well. But the thing is, like the strain of wheat we used to eat back in the day is very different from the sort of mono strain that we have now.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon that's what the problem is. I assume that could be similar to milk, or perhaps it's what we feed the cows. I don't know.
I think the milk ads are terribly cruel to people who are lactose intolerant. It's very insensitive because they're being intolerant about my intolerance, and they're making me really want to drink milk, and I can't. Just can't do it. I mean, I can, but it's not good.
I mean, we've adapted to learn to drink cow's milk and goat's milk. We've actually adapted for that. I mean, I think it's changing a lot over in Asia, but our stomachs are very different from that of a cow. We are the only mammals that not only continue to consume milk after a certain, after the weaning period, but we consume the milk of other mammals.
That's because we've got cereal. If we didn't have cereal, we'd be like, what are you doing with all this milk? But we've come up with cereal, and we're like, it floats. So we put it in milk.
It's too dry without it. Yeah. But yeah, our stomach, we've kind of adapted. Like some people, if you brought someone up who's never drank milk, or only had from the mother's breast, and then after weaning has gone on to never have milk, you give them milk, it'll upset their stomach because our stomachs aren't adapted. We've adapted our stomachs.
Bedouin cultures drink milk, well on, but that's because of necessity. I mean, you got to get food where you can get it. But
yeah.
When in the Western culture, you're right. There's really no need for us to do that, and it is weird if you think about it, because you wouldn't be willing to just jump down and grab a hold of a cow's udder and just start suckling, but you don't mind drinking milk from another.
Yeah, that's been over processed.
Yeah, and it's weird too because all right, this is weird, but last time my wife was pregnant, she's like, you want to try some of this breast milk? I was like, no, negative. No, she acted offended. I'm like, wow, don't be offended. She was teasing, of course, but my reaction mortified her because I acted like it was the plague or something. She's like, so you'd rather drink booby milk from something that grazes around in the yard, but not from another human. Something from another species is fine, but if it's from your own species, disgusting.
You're right. That is weird. It's an understandable reaction. But it's also weird when you put it into context of why would we be bothered by human milk if we drink cow's milk?
Right, and it started to make me think about cow's milk, and then I actually started wondering if lactose was an issue with me, and it turns out it is.
Ah.
Yeah, it really isn't good for us.
The thing about that too is you'll kiss her, so you'll get the germs from her mouth.
Yeah.
But you put your face in other places.
Yeah.
But you won't drink her milk.
Exactly, and I was like, I know she's joking around or whatever, but I should really do this so she doesn't feel bad. And then I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just not. I can't do it. I think if I would have grabbed the little bottle, my hand would have started shaking. Like, no, I just can't. It may be an irrational thing, but I
think it seems like to me a normal reaction, but I still think it is irrational when you consider. I mean, it is and it isn't, if you know what I mean. It's counterintuitive, isn't it? We need Christopher Mouty in here to talk about, because his I know his science, whatever is to do with the to do with smell, but he also knows a bit about the repulsion reaction, not repulsion. The what's the word I'm looking for? It's similar to repulsion, with the fact that we're repulsed by certain things when some, But
Speaking of Chris Mouty, I saw just a notification he got back on G+.
All right.
So,
excellent. I miss Chris.
Yeah.
But I mean, the other thing is, the other thing is apparently it's far healthier to drink goat's milk than cow's milk because our digestive system is very similar. I mean, cows have 4 stomachs, and
not very similar. I mean,
compared to cows, they have this. Well, they have the single stomach system. Cows have the 4 stomach system, so it's a whole different digestive system.
Well, the milk is definitely, it's got a different butterfat consistency and all it, and then I think it's because the butterfat particles are so much smaller that we pass it easier and can use it better. Something like that. I know what you're talking about, though.
The live, well, I think that the live enzymes and all that stuff that is part of milk that we used to drink years ago has been eliminated because it's processed so that
pasteurized.
Pasteurized so that we can ship it and sell it in other markets and things like that. So, because I know that like people that raise goats to drink the milk from goat's milk because it's a little more nutritious than even the cow's milk. It's often not pasteurized, and I know that when we had goats growing up, I'm lactose intolerant, but I never had any problem with goat's milk.
Yeah. I think as well part of the issue was, I wish I could remember this more. I've got a terrible memory. Is that we used to process the milk in very dirty, close, in cities where it was all close together and dirty. The issue wasn't so much from the cows as the fact that where we were processing it back. I mean, I don't know how many decades, possibly centuries we're going back, where people were getting sick from milk, and we ended up pasteurizing it. Is because of the situations of we had like lots of small businesses, producing the milk in unclean conditions.
Yeah. Once upon a time, everybody had a cow. Now nobody has cows, and you have to go somewhere to get it. So handled differently. Yeah.
Well, thanks for the milk talk.
Sorry, what were we actually talking about initially? I'm so sorry.
I know, the end of the world.
Well, milk has never been so interesting, honestly.
Oh.
Discussion. I can't even believe it came off without a hitch, but I was really interested. Thanks, John.
No problem.
Yeah.
Milk talk's great because it doesn't happen every day.
Yeah.
So, back to the end of the world. People worry about how the sun's going to burn us up. We should actually be considering the moon, because the moon's gradually moving further and further away, and it's the moon's gravitational pull that keeps us on our axis.
Well, and we should worry about this?
Well, because if the moon moves away and we lose the gravitational pull, we'll fall off our axis and start wobbling all over the place.
You propose a solution?
Yeah, I think we should tether the moon to us.
Gotta lasso it and pull it back in.
Let's contact NASA as a group. Maybe if it comes from 5 or
Like
6 of
Bruce
us, we'll
Almighty.
listen.
Elon Musk is on this, I'm sure.
Yeah, I
So-
think that you'd have to be way above my pay grade to give a lot of concern or thought to that, because I can't see a solution that
Oh, no,
that
I don't know.
mankind can do anything about.
I don't think there is a solution.
And
Where's the story that the moon is going further from us?
But realistically, when
Is it?
that happens, it's going to be so far down the road that any number of things could happen before we worry about that one.
Indeed.
Yeah, we'll be long dead before that happens. Don't worry about that.
We will. We don't know about the.
It'll
This
be your
world-
great-grandchildren who'll be in trouble.
No, they'll be dead too. Mankind will have long ceased to exist before that happens.
Mm.
We'll be living in another galaxy by the time that happens.
Aren't you hopeful, though?
Hope springs eternal.
Listen, we got off on a little late start today because my sleep schedule was totally off, so I got off late. So I'm just gonna cut the live broadcast short here because shortly I got to get things going soon. But if you want to continue on off air, no problem. But thanks for coming out to the Morning Crow.
Or as
And-
it's affectionately known, coffee with crazies.
Coffee with Crazies. And here, the Morning Crow. If you want to join the hangout, those who are watching off air, if you want to come on in, the link is in the event page. Thanks for coming. Have a great day.